Japan and South Korea, meantime, we were talking about those two allies of ours are certainly pushing for the deployment of more powerful weapons. We've heard that from both countries. So then you start thinking about things like a regional arms race, among other things. Former military assistant to Donald Rumsfeld joins us now, Steve Bucci. And pick up, if you can, Steve, from where we just left off of this idea of our allies. I mean, everybody talks about what the threat is to American cities. And obviously, we want to, deal with, to the extent that we can, North Korea before an American city is really at risk, if it isn't already. But what about our allies, like South Korea and Japan? Are we willing to risk the amount of casualties that might be endured if there's a military conflict over there?
Well, are we willing to endure the number of casualties that could occur of our own citizens if we don't do anything? It clearly are those calculations about our allies are very, very close friends in South Korea, in Japan. We care about them. Their governments are part of this process and will remain so, which is why missile defense is such a key, not just for American territories, but clearly for Guam, for Hawaii, but for South Korea and Japan as well.
We had a guest last hour, Colonel Hunt, and he was saying about the missile defense system that the thing that a lot of people forget is that, it doesn't work all the time, that our missile defense needs to be even stronger than it is, that at the end of the day, and, looking at the numbers, maybe it's 50-50, that if a missile is shot, we actually shoot it down. Is that true? And if so, are we doing enough to strengthen that capability?
It's a little better than 50-50. It's about 60-40 on most of the tests. But remember, we test the stuff that doesn't work yet. That's why we're trying to. We don't test the things that do work. So we do need to improve it. We do need to have more capability out there, because the more of those systems we deploy in Hawaii, in Korea, out of Alaska, for the ones that we shoot down the missiles in outer space, the more of those we have, the higher percentage chance we have of stopping a very low number of missiles that a country like North Korea could fire at us or at our allies. So, yeah, we need to bump up that missile defense incredibly so. In the first place we should do it is in Hawaii, by deploying the Aegis ashore with its associated radars, the THAAD system that we already have in South Korea and in Romania. Those things were tested in Hawaii, but we don't have any of them deployed there. We need to do that, because if we can discourage Kim Jong-un from the fact that anything he fires is not going to have any effect anyway, that's another part of deterrence, in addition to the offensive part of deterrence that you were discussing with the congressman.
No, it certainly, I get that. It certainly is, and it would be certainly for our cities here in the United States. But if that capability goes up from where you say it is now 60-40 to 70-30, 80-20, whatever, 90-10, it only takes one, right? That whether it's nuclear or it has a chemical component to it or whatever it is, it's not very far from where they're launching these missiles. And in some cases, maybe we don't even know where they'd be launched from, to get from there to, say, Seoul, South Korea. I mean, that's a real threat, right, if this thing escalates. And that's why it's so serious.
No, it's absolutely, it's an enormous threat, because they can hit Seoul with conventional artillery. They don't even have to shoot missiles at Seoul. So there's an enormous part of this. This is not just the U.S. and North Korea. This involves the community of nations. We saw that with the sanctions going through, or even China supported them. And I want to say something about the president's rhetoric. A lot of experts have pointed out that if you don't speak that forcefully in the Chinese and Korean cultures, they may not take you seriously. So some of the president's very, very strong words are not just the president, they're certainly that.
So you think it was calculated? You think that was calculated
specifically for them? Absolutely.
Okay, so there was a report, the New York Times says, oh, he improvised, that his aides were surprised that he used those words yesterday, but you think he did this on purpose, and what do you think the effect will be? What do you think the effect will be of being that tough in talking that way? My hope is that China in particular would understand the amount of fervency he has for this, and also clearly North Korea, and that North Korea will back down under pressure from the international community, from China, and from our ability to protect ourselves and to take retaliatory action if that becomes necessary.
All those components are part of it, and we have to hope that he backs down, because otherwise it's going to be a very, very messy arrangement. Right. There is no good answer beyond those things working, and we have to get there quickly.
Just about every expert agrees on that, what you just said, on the no good options once you get past a certain point. Steve Bucci, thank you, sir. We appreciate you coming on.